Robert Hansen and Aldrich Ames, again, during the Cold War period. Yeah. One was FBI, one was CIA, and the Russians had recruited them both for upwards of a decade.
What?
So they were able
gets
to,
even more interesting.
So they were able to collect information on what CIA operations were in Russia and what FBI operations were against Russia in the United States, while simultaneously being able to influence what, because these two
organizations were actually looking into. And on top of that, the people within those organizations that were hired to look for the mole were them.
Yeah. So then these two guys were so senior that when the mole hunt started,
they're like, we'll take long.
They hired the mole.
Oh.
So how does
we are the easiest to fucking They got to the top level.
Yeah.
Like,
how does Russia fall then?
Fuck?
How does it? I mean, you would think that's such a powerful thing. That's like having a queen on a chessboard.
Yeah, how did it not work?
So how did
the U.S. essentially win the Cold War? At least that's what I understand happened.
The U.S. didn't win the Cold War. Russia imploded. If you remember, the fall of the Berlin Wall was the Soviet Union collapsing.
And is that because communism is sustainable, or what?
I mean, the way the USSR was trying to run communism wasn't sustainable.
And then you think China's worked out those kinks? I'm very worried about China, if you can't tell.
Well, just to stay on this one real quick is I think the CIA had implemented a economic deployment.
A block.
No, not even a block. I think they were deploying resources to like American, what was it, Impressionist art? No, it was
postmodern art.
Yeah, postmodern art. Like they were deploying capital to bolster Western, I guess, ideology and artistic expression. So there was like there was a move to, I guess, support certain cultural institutions in America and make them seem more successful than they really were.
Correct. So again, what you're getting at is a lot of what defined the pre-9/11 CIA.
Got it.
Which was spaghetti on a wall.
Oh, just try anything.
Try anything.
Oh,
and it's very difficult to quantify the value of any of those things, right? Like pouring a bunch of money into postmodernist art done by Spanish artists in Barcelona.
This is funny.
Right?
This is funny.
Let's try it.
In retrospect, we're like, it was the most genius, but it did nothing.
Not that we could measure. Maybe it was the game changer.
MK Ultra, same thing.
Same thing. MK Ultra is one of those things where it's like, hey, the bad guys are doing it. We should do it too. How do we measure the success?
And before 9/11, you had no oversight, and so you guys could just throw anything at the wall.
Project Stargate,
crazy.
Right? Remote viewers and trying to use LSD to be able to hack into people's brains. The bad guys are doing it. We should do it too. How do we measure it?
I want to go into MK Ultra and Project Stargate, but also real quick, just back to CIA spending. That's what some people say the space race was about, right? Bankrupting Russia. And did that lead to the implosion of Russia?
It was part of it. The thing that backfired is that Russia beat us in the space race in 2 out of, I think, 4 categories or 5
they got there at first.
They had the first spacewalk.
They did first spacewalk, but they didn't hit the moon.
Correct, but they didn't get to the moon.
That's right. And their spaceships were fucking insane. Did you see the thing? It was a crapshoot. The things that they were sending up there, the fact that any of them worked. The first guy, I forget the guy's name, the balls on this guy. Yuri, what was it?
Yuri, I forget his last name now.
They're literally just going, we need to beat the Americans, send anything up there.
Send anything. Trash cans with duct tape.
Dude.
Yuri Gagarin.
Thank you very much. So but
is that true that America was funding, or the CIA was funding this space race in an effort to make Russia economically unsustainable?
It is a very plausible theory. I wouldn't call that a conspiracy theory. I would call that a very plausible theory because it makes sense. CIA maintains a black budget. That's a covert budget. And the way that covert budget is appropriated is through things where there's extra money. There's extra money that the budget can't account for, that your bean counters in Washington can't account for, so they put it into the black budget so that CIA can use it for national security reasons.
Oh.
So you basically have a big, deep black check, a deep blank check to do all sorts of crazy shit.
That's the spaghetti on the wall.
That's the spaghetti on the wall.
Now, do you think that was more effective or less? Because I hear you say the new CIA isn't that great either.
Right.
Or they're just elements of both. What do you prefer, the old pre-9/11 or post-9/11?
No, post-9/11 I prefer much, much better. Because the post-9/11 one, you have checks and balances to confirm that what they're doing doesn't hurt Americans.
Okay.
Pre-9/11, All sorts of shit could happen.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't have any idea if it's affecting Americans or not, right? So post 9/11, I think, is far better than that. However, we've also lost our tolerance for risk. And when you were asking, how do people in the CIA view me? Like, it's a split decision because there's a lot of people at CIA who are trying their best to do a good job who know CIA is no longer taking risks. They're afraid to take certain risks because they're afraid that some congressman or some senator is going to say no and someone's going to lose their job and then they're going to lose their pension. So you've got a bunch of junior officers who are like, we need to try something new. And a bunch of senior officers who are like, we need to fill the box with exactly what we know the Senate.
But it is tricky because you're operating in the most high stakes game. So the risk requires incredible accountability.
Right.
Oof.
And the risks are not even to you. Right? Like in intelligence, I may take the risk to collect the secret, but the longer that secret is protected, all of us are at risk.
It's almost like America.
Wait. What did you mean by that?
Because if somebody else is holding a secret that they know about us that I can't collect, to collect it, I put myself at risk. If I don't try to collect it,
we put all of us. So you're saying it's more beneficial. It would behoove us to take more risk because it actually keeps us all safe. So what would a risk be that you would have to take that people are a little bit concerned about doing?
So, for example, right, if you had a big negotiation coming up for agriculture, and I bring this up a lot because you'd be shocked how much espionage has to do with being able to anticipate agricultural trading. If you think about what's happening in the Black Sea right now,
I was just
it's
about
all
to
about
say,
agriculture
with Ukraine, right?
Yep. So when it comes to agriculture, the idea of let's say Obama got egg on his face because the NSA was caught collecting secrets about agriculture on Angela Merkel in Germany.
That's right. I remember that. And it was such a weird thing because we're like, why would we be collecting secrets from like one of our allies?
Because Germany's not being transparent about their trade policy with a common third country. So we have to collect from Germany and collect from our target third country to see if the two countries are telling us the truth about each other.
And they weren't.
Correct.
So he was right to do it.
Correct.
So he didn't really get fucking egg in his face. This bitch was lying.
Except that it did massive damage to the German-U.S. pact.
But to me, I'm like, that's on you. Like, if it go on.
You know, I mean, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying.
That's the American point of view. To NATO was like, what the fuck,
How dare you spy on an ally?
Germany is the economic engine of all of Europe.
Yeah.
And now you just pissed them off.
Okay. So, but continue.
So that's kind of how it works. So the kind of risks that you need to take are the risks that there's going to be some kind of flap that makes a rift between the diplomatic relationships between two countries that are supposed to be strong.
And everybody's worried about losing their fucking job because if it turns out that the intelligence doesn't really support anything, now we took this big risk to piss off Great Britain or piss off Germany or piss off Canada, one of our allies, and we got nothing from it, you get canned.
Right.
So,
and that's Europe. When you're talking about Latin America or Africa, now you're talking about like we pissed off the warlord and now they're taking the BNI instead. And now we've completely lost access to...
And China's like, we're not going to do that to you.
Right.
Yeah, we're going to play nice, unlike America.
Yeah.
And then we lose all of our global influence.
And not to mention...
It's a big risk.
We force... I'm sorry, I just hit our mic.
Go.
And then not to mention, we force our ideology on other countries. So we're like, hey, Mogadishu, we'd love to help you. You need to have free and fair elections. You are not a democratically elected president, so you need to create a schedule of elections and you need to find a way to make sure that your voters can all vote equally. And then meanwhile, that same warlord has the Chinese going up and being like, we don't need you to change shit. We just need you to
port.
You just need to sign on the dotted line here that we have access for the next 99 years.
And why is that so important to us that we push our ideology? Easier to control?
It is our post-World War II strategy. Coming out of World War II, remember, the United States was pretty much untouched during World War II. If anything, our economy exploded.
Yeah.
Germany, France, Poland.
Reeling.
Destroyed.
Yeah.
Like industrially and architecturally destroyed.
Yep.
So we went in there and we were like, hey, we have plenty of money to give you loans. We have plenty of infrastructure to come in and start building immediately. But in order to get access to that money and access to this, you have to follow these guidelines. And then we became the leader of the democratic world, right?
But why did we feel like that was advantageous?
Proximity to Russia, maybe?
So we thought it was economically advantageous because we knew that by rebuilding these countries...
Oh, no, that part makes sense. But why pushing ideology? Why was the ideology important?
The Rice thing? Where
just control.
Ideology is the strongest.
Correct. It's
so partly, if we can control your ideology, we can control your
everything.
Country.
Right.
Got it.
And,
I see.
And we're essentially programming into the new economy a reliance on the United States.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Brilliant. Holy
Brilliant.
fuck.
Yep. And guess who's following that model now?
China. They are programming into these economies that they are putting money, that they are now reliant on China.
That's what we've been doing. And this is, I love my country. I love the CIA. This is how it works. This is best practices.
This is the game.
This is the game. If you don't like it, that's fine. It's still the game, whether you
Game
like it or
we
not.
made.
And it's the game that we mastered, and it's the game that we have now been playing for so long that somebody else has been watching our tape, just like you watched the rival football team's tape. And now they're like, I think we know how to do it better.
I'm listening to you talk.
triangle offense
It's
ain't
almost
working.
like, you know, you talked about when you're young, you have a big tolerance for risk. And then as you get older, not so much. It's almost like the U.S. as a young country took on all the risk. CIA, throw spaghetti at the wall. Here's the money. Who gives a fuck? As the U.S. gets older, more security. Now we're like, yo, chill. Everybody, let's just keep things the way they are. I don't want to take on.
Also, when you're in,
to our detriment.
When you got the top spot, there's only one place to go. So everything feels like risk.
It's true.
That's fair.
When you're
too.
coming up, it's like, yeah, this was worth it. We could get the top
We
spot.
got nothing to lose.
So again, so democracy, pushing ideology is a form of control, in that not only do we control what they believe in, but we can control the way that they operate commercially. Is that the idea?
Yes. I mean, you can.
How does the democracy create the reliance on the U.S. outside of the loan?
Because if we as America want a certain political power to win in an election, we can come in and say, we believe in this person, not that other person.
Yeah.
Right.
And we've done that before.
We will give more foreign aid because this person is such a strong democratic leader. But if you vote for that person, we're going to have to pull back our foreign aid. Right. It's exactly what we did with Hamas in Palestine. Right. We said we will support the Palestinian people in Gaza. Mm-hmm. And then we reclassified Hamas as a terrorist group again, right? We declassified them in 2019, reclassified them in 2024 as a terrorist group. And then once we reclassified them, we pulled money out.
Because we can't support a terrorist group.
But we didn't define them as terrorist group.
No, what I'm saying is you do it in order to, and I imagine other countries also are like, well, I can't be supporting a terrorist group.
I think that's what our strategy in conjunction with Israel was hoping for. But instead what happened is many of our closest European allies were like, that's fucked up, America. We're going to double down and put more money in. Turkey, France, Spain. They kept it going. And now that's why you see the Biden administration where they are now bound up. Because now they're like, well, shit. We called them terrorists, we took back money, and people are still dying, and Netanyahu's still going crazy, so what do we do now? Now there's a split between Netanyahu and Biden. Now they're talking to the opposition parties in Israel to see if they can find a way to make a ceasefire of some sort, right? I mean, today is the second day of Ramadan, which is one of the largest Muslim holidays. And there was supposed to be a ceasefire that was orchestrated to help kind of honor this holiday. And instead, it's not happening.
What do you think happens?
In Israel, Palestine? So, I mean, for all the concerns that people had about Putin being ousted during his war in Ukraine, Netanyahu is at way more risk than Putin ever was.
Really?
Because Israel's a functioning democracy. Right? The people actually have a say.
Yeah.
There's relative transparency there. They already have people calling for re-election. They already have opposition leaders being welcomed and acknowledged in the West. Like Netanyahu's in a nasty place.
Really? Is there not support for Bibi in Israel right now?
There is support, but it's a very narrow far-right support.
Got it.
Where most of the country has taken a very moderate stance.
I thought that the war kind of unified the country behind
It did
him.
for the first...
Probably temporarily, similar to 9/11.
Protests are coming back.
And now they're starting to come back. Interesting. So what's up?
Remember 9/11? How we all got along?
And then eventually it's like, what the fuck are we doing there?
What the fuck are we doing? We split further than ever.
So it's almost like you have a small window to get done what you need to get done where you have full support. And the longer that window lasts, the riskier your position is.
And we learned that lesson after 9/11, which is why the Americans went out and said, hey, Israel, you have had an injustice done. Don't do the air raids that you're planning.
Don't make the mistake that we made. Interesting.